Podcast continues with our drive to the draft, brought to you by Fast Stop Markets and Recovery Now USA. Terry McCormick, Chris Yow, Blaine Kellar joining you. Some more pre-draft coverage as we ramp up toward the combine. A lot to think about, a lot of layover a little bit here after the Super Bowl is over. And now, Terry, we focus our attention toward that number one pick that the Titans hold.
Yeah, I mean, the Titans really, now that the Super Bowl is over and the Philadelphia Eagles have been crowned Super Bowl champs, the focus now turns to the offseason and the draft. And lo and behold, the Tennessee Titans are the team in the driver's seat thanks to their poor record last year that landed them the number one pick. So we shall see how they do going forward.
40-year NFL draft guru Mike Detillier will be joining us here in just a moment. The Tennessee Pro Football Podcast is brought to you by Fast Stop Markets, stores in Centerville, Clarksville, Dixon, Spring Hill, White Bluff, Columbia. They've got 17 stops in Middle Tennessee and beyond. Be sure to check them out. Check out this ad that they've got on the Tennessee Pro Football Podcast. When we come back, Mike Detillier joining us.
With multiple locations across Tennessee, family-owned Fast Stop Markets knows you need simple. A one-stop shop for fuel, food, and more offers you Fast Stop Perks, an easy and free rewards program that helps you save on fuel and earn points you can spend like cash. You can also get free items, join clubs, and save big. Get your Fast Stop Perks card at checkout or download the Fast Stop Perks app to start your loyalty rewards today. Fast Stop Markets, keeping you moving.
Being a part of a cooperative is being a part of something bigger. Farm Credit Mid-America is a customer-owned lender that specializes in agricultural financing for farm real estate, operating, and farm equipment. A unique benefit of being a part of the Farm Credit Mid-America Cooperative is our patronage program, which has put over $1 billion back in our customers' hands over the last 7 years. That's the power of a cooperative. Visit us at fcma.com to learn more.
I own the land.
I farm the land. Together we're farmers.
This is our cooperative.
So Busy Bee is a very close-knit family. We fight just like every family does. We have arguments, but we always come out with a solution to the problems. We don't just fight about what we want, we fight about what customers need. We want to make sure that every customer we go to is more than satisfied. And that doesn't just start whenever we show up at their door, that starts when we show up every day at work. We want to make sure that we are serving our customers to the best of our ability.
In season, he covers the Saints. Out of season, he is an NFL draft guru. Mike Detillier joining us on the Tennessee Pro Football Podcast. Mike, thank you so much for your time today and for your insight on the NFL draft.
Thanks so much. I appreciate you guys asking me.
Wanted to start with this one big question for you, Mike. Get your thoughts. Which of these two is more true? Especially during the season, college football experts and those probably like yourself looking at the NFL draft really analyze this class, especially in the quarterback position, as a weak one. But as we draw closer to the combine and after coming out of the Senior Bowl, there's been more and more talk about Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders fighting for that number one pick at quarterback. Are either of those guys worth a number one pick for the Titans? Or is the former true where this is really not the year to take a quarterback?
Well, that's going to be a personal opinion on kind of where you think of it. I do know this. The false narrative that's put out there is that Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, if they'd have been in last year's draft class, would not be first-round picks. That's totally untrue. Both of them would have been first-round picks a year ago. Both of them. So, but do you pick them at one? That's going to be the big question mark, because I'm always about value. I want value if I'm going to pick a guy with the first overall pick. And same thing if I trade down. I want the value at that. I'm all about picking the best player on the board if you have that number one pick. But, man, I work this is 20 years with me and Bobby Hebert. One thing he's taught me, the one thing is quarterbacks trump everything. So if you convince Cam Ward or Sanders is your guy for the next 10, 12, 15 years, you got to go that route. If not, then you got to go with Travis Hunter. I can't compare him to any player. It's going to be, this is my 40th year doing this. I cannot compare him to anybody. That he steps on that field, he's your starting corner. And if I put him at wide receiver, he's my starting receiver. He's that good. Deion did a little bit of it at wide receiver, and he was a great return man. But Travis, he's a cut above. When you look at his work ethic, his talent, his ability to step on the field, he tilts it one way or another. So when I pick him, or if I pick him, I know he's my starting corner, and I can build a package offensively that he's in there 13, 17, 18 plays a game on offense. That's not a lot of guys you can say that about. I know in my 40 years, there's really no one I could really compare him to. He's that good of a football player. For me, if I'm not convinced that Ward or Sanders is the guy, unless I get a great deal, I'm picking Travis Hunter.
Mike, thanks for joining us. And I want to kind of explore the Travis Hunter, Shedeur Sanders thing a little further, because you touched on the quarterback situation that the Titans are in and whether or not they should take a flyer on Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders, who a lot of people have rated as low as maybe 25th or 30th on their big boards overall, but still, a low first, high second round grade on him. When you go back and you watch Colorado tape from the last couple of years, how much did Shedeur Sanders make Travis Hunter versus how much did Travis Hunter make Shedeur Sanders in that connection? Because we saw coming out a few years ago out of Texas A&M, everybody was gaga in college over Johnny Manziel, and he was a magician who certainly had his demons, and those raised their head when he got to the pro game. But the real factor in that was he was throwing the football to Mike Evans, who is still doing it at a high level more than a decade later. So how much did Shedeur make Travis? How much did Travis make Shedeur? And how do you separate that in the evaluation of the two?
Yeah, Terry, we've seen enough of Mike Evans down here in New Orleans. You got to play him twice a year. Man, that sucker, he's unreal for his age still to be putting up those type numbers. It's a little bit of both, but if I had a receiver like Travis, I know where I'm going with the ball. In critical spots, the negative I see with Shedeur a lot of times, he's holding on to the football way too long. You got to get rid of it quicker. Now, his offensive line, they not defy blocks of granite up front, but he didn't help. He was just holding on to the football way too long. Holding on to it. You got to get rid of it. Your offensive line's not going to be able to protect you. And then the movement after that he's got to shift left or right to get out of throwing a ball. Travis Hunter had a lot to do with certainly the success of Shedeur Sanders. And Shedeur really helped out Travis. So I would lean more toward Travis in this spot, but Shedeur was a pretty doggone good player. Also at that quarterback position. The one negative, again, I go back to watching tape, same as Cam Ward. Cam was the guy that never set his feet when he made a throw. Everything was an arm throw. It was unbelievable that he was that accurate, and yet you didn't see the mechanics right with him. So you're going to have to work on that with Shedeur. A lot of it is he was just waiting for somebody to get open downfield, and he wasn't getting protected well. Travis, he's open when he's covered. That's the way I look at it. It's unbelievable to watch him kind of spin and corkscrew a cornerback into the turf, and even when they bracket coveraged him, he found a way to get open downfield. Remarkable football player.
Mike, you mentioned this before we got started here. The Titans, like the team you cover in season, the Saints, are a team that needs a player pretty much at any position. Though if you kind of look at the depth chart, cornerback is the one spot the Titans have a little bit of some footing with Jarvis Brownlee, Chidobe Awuzie, L'Jarius Sneed, who they traded for last season. Do you throw that by the wayside when you're presented a talent like Travis Hunter, despite kind of the other options there at number 1, number 2, number 3?
Yeah, those guys, good football players in the NFL, but they're not Travis Hunter. Okay, they're not Hunter, and so my look at it, I know immediately he's going to step on the field. He's going to be a starter for me at corner. Immediately, he's going to be a starter. And again, the other part is he can help me so much on the offensive side of the football too. So you got to weigh that a little bit. And they do have some talent and talent depth at corner. They don't have Travis Hunter. He's a unique guy, just in that particular position. So that would not sway me one way or another. Put it to you this way. When you call him the role, he won't have to wait real long to get his name called. He's in the lineup right away.
Mike, what's your take on Abdul Carter, who's generally regarded as the best edge rusher in this draft, and some people have him going number 1 overall, and certainly that's a need area for the Titans if they decide not to pick a quarterback at number 1.
He's an interesting player because really this was his first year full-time at that defensive end position. You see the size, the length. It's his flash, his ability to get off the snap, get up the field. He's gotten much better as a technician. Because, Terry, a lot of times, you beating guys with your speed, but he's worked a lot in the offseason with his hands, with his arms, also, too, with his technical skills, with his ability to get off the line of scrimmage and beat a guy with a move. That, to me, was really impressive. It would come down to those two again because Hunter can help me both spots. He gets the nod over Abdul Carter. Whoever gets Carter is getting a really good football player and a guy that has some upside to his game. Those two guys, along with Mason Graham from Michigan, clear cut 1, 2, 3 in this draft class. Clear cut. If you're rating on that board, those are the guys that you put up there. But man, Abdul, he's going to help a team out real quickly because this game, in a lot of ways, is still about making plays on offense with the quarterback and on defense, putting that other quarterback on his backside. But the thing you have to, and I always believe this, play to the strength of a draft class. A lot of teams don't do it. I don't understand why they don't. I look at this draft class. In my top 75, 24 are defensive ends or tackles. So basically, when you think about 24 of the top 75 are defensive linemen, man, that's a lot of talent at that defensive line position. On offense, the talent and talent depth is at tight end and running back. So why move away from that if I'm another team? A lot of times teams pick for need. They tell you best player on the board. Come on. It's the best player on the board at the biggest need position. That's what they're picking. Now they know how to lie real well and tell you, oh, well, he was right where we had him rated. No, he was the guy you wanted because he fills the biggest need. So you got to play to that. That every draft class is a little different, and this one loaded at defensive line.
With Mike Detillier, who mocked 5 of the first 6 picks right last season in his mock draft before the Titans took J.C. Latham over Joe Alt. We are brought to you by Fast Stop Markets and Recovery Now USA. They specialize in medication-assisted treatment, prescribe Suboxone, and offer therapy to patients in a confidential, respectful, and professional setting, serving Tennessee with locations in Nashville, Clarksville, and Ashland City. Mike, question back on the quarterback side of things. You touched on this briefly. Cam Ward, really instinctive, has that big play ability. Could also be a downside with kind of a hero ball mentality that Titans fans are all too familiar with how Will Levis played this past season. And then Shedeur Sanders is technical almost times to a fault. When you look at those two traits that those guys have, which one presents more of an upside between the two?
More of an upside or a negative you're talking about?
Upside. I mean, you've got the technical skills that Shedeur has, and then that instinctive, which could be bad for Cam Ward, but also could also be a really good thing if he can figure it out.
Yeah, with Cam, he's got the bigger upside because if I've got the right quarterback coach with him, I can get him better technically with his footwork, with his mechanics. You talked about hero ball. That's a hard trait to break because all of his life, when you play quarterback, if it's junior high school, college, they're relying on you. You got to be the guy. And so a lot of times you take on that responsibility, good or bad. You take that on as a player. But there's not a lot of questioning about his ability to get a ball in a tight window, his ability to find secondary receivers downfield. And he's a tough guy, man. He took a lot of hits last year at Miami of Florida. Now, he did play on a very talented team offensively. Defensively, they were lousy. But offensively, man, they were really good. And they could put points on the board. I think you can get better at that, but that's always kind of in you. That, hey, it's on me. I got to make this play. I got to do it. That's a hard trait to break away from, to be honest with you. And every quarterback or former quarterback tells you, I took on that responsibility. When you take on the position of playing quarterback, you take on a lot of responsibilities. And a lot of it has to do with, it falls on me. They look at me to make that play when I have to. And we judge quarterbacks today, good or bad. Biggest moments, biggest games. That's what it boils down to.
Mike, I got a two-parter here, and both are quarterback related. One, in terms of the Titans holding the number one pick, how far down, in your opinion, can a guy be rated, but you still take him at number one before he's, just because he's a quarterback and you think you can win with him in the long term? And then two, since you cover the Saints, the Titans have been rumored to have been maybe Derek Carr if he becomes available this offseason, because they are looking for a veteran guy to mentor Will Levis and or a rookie. So what are the chances Derek Carr comes free? And then the first question, of course, how far down would a quarterback have to be on your big board before you'd say, no, I won't take him with the number one pick?
Okay, he's got to be in my top two. Okay, he don't have to be one, but he's got to be in my top two. Now, a lot of times teams convince themselves that he's a top two player because I need that quarterback so bad. They're willing to do it. They're willing to take that chance. But if he's not a top two player, I'm not picking him with one. Just not going to do it. You get burned too many times doing that. That's why we see probably half the quarterbacks in the NFL that get picked in round one fail you. You picked them too high, and then you didn't develop them well. And a lot of time, too, impatience with a quarterback. We see this. Look what's happened with certain quarterbacks today, what the success Sam Darnold had. Yet he was picked very high. Though, it didn't work out for him with the Jets. It didn't work out for him in Carolina. And then, bang, it worked out for him this year with Minnesota. Same thing with Baker Mayfield. Well, he did take the team to the playoffs. Eventually, they moved off of him. He goes to Carolina, didn't work out there, had a short stint in L.A., and then Tampa. It all works. But I just think with that spot, it's difficult to not pass up a player that you know is better just to pick the quarterback. And I think in most draft classes, if it's a Joe Burrow or if it's a Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud situation, Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, you could make that argument that those guys are in the top two. Could you make that argument this year? The answer is no. The answer is no. With Derek Carr, it's a remain to be seen because you got a new head coach here. How does he feel about Kellen Moore? Kellen feel about Derek Carr? Because he's coming into a new situation. Basically, Derek Carr with the Saints has been a 500 quarterback. And my thing is, at his age, he's not getting any better. He is who he is. Whoever picks him up understands he's the bridge to the next quarterback. So I think it's better than 50-50 that he's not with the Saints in 2025. I know there's some financial issues involved with that, but I wouldn't be surprised. Kellen Moore said, okay, I've seen enough. And he's not going to be here in 2026. Why should I keep him? Let me give Spencer Rattler an opportunity and get a veteran quarterback. And then we take a look at the quarterback position next year. But I got a feeling Derek may be out on the open market.
All right, Mike, it's February 17th, but hypothetically, you're on the clock. Number one pick for the Tennessee Titans. What do you do as of today with the pick?
I pick Travis Hunter, and I don't even have to think about it. I think he's the guy. If I'm keeping that pick, I'm going to pick Travis Hunter from Colorado. I just think today we saturated with information from different sources, but really they're from the same people, agents. They feed you information, good or bad, about a player, but they don't talk good about him. You know, they're trying to convince you their guy is the player. If I got the first overall pick, I pick Travis Hunter.
Mike Detillier, great stuff on the Tennessee Pro Football Podcast today. Thanks so much for joining us and for giving us some really good insight. Best of luck to you as you try to figure out this puzzle of the 2025 NFL Draft.
Thanks a lot, guys. Y'all take care. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. Drive to the Draft brought to you by Fast Stop Markets and Recovery Now USA. We'll be back with some closing thoughts here on the Tennessee Pro Football Podcast.
With multiple locations across Tennessee, family-owned Fast Stop Markets knows you need simple. A one-stop shop for fuel, food, and more offers you Fast Stop Perks, an easy and free rewards program that helps you save on fuel and earn points you can spend like cash. You can also get free items, join clubs, and save big. Get your Fast Stop Perks card at checkout or download the Fast Stop Perks app to start your loyalty rewards today. Fast Stop Markets, keeping you moving.
Hadn't forgot that. Hey, let's go Stros.
People are amazed at the variety and quality of guests we bring into Main Street Sports today. But when you've been in this business for nearly 40 years and you never throw away a phone number, it's pretty easy. Right, Wade?
Absolutely. And Wynn agrees with me. Check out some of our guests featured on Main Street Sports today.
Step back and catch my breath. But I expect nothing less from you, big boy. Let's get going.
We make it work pretty good. So
the fans are tremendous. It's fantastic.
It was really amazing.
They call it performance. Yeah.
From preps to pros, you never know who's going to stop by. So be sure to listen to and watch Main Street Sports today from 2 to 4 p.m. daily on the MSM TV app.
Hey, Hey, congrats to our guys at Main Street Sports today who just hit 1 million viewers for the past calendar year. Huge stuff for Maurice and for Wade. They do great work over there. Our Drive to the Draft on the Tennessee Pro Football Podcast brought to you by Fast Stop Markets in Centerville, Dixon, White Bluff, Spring Hill, Clarksville. Now 4 locations in Columbia. Their stores are clean. Employees are friendly. They've got the best loyalty program with Fast Stop Perks. It's free and easy to sign up and you can earn big savings on fuel and store purchases. Thanks to Mike Detillier for joining us. Some great draft insight. Chris brought up a really interesting question that we weren't able to get to, talking about Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, those other players that could be near the top of the draft board when draft night comes along. Looking at some mock drafts last night, it looked as though Travis Hunter, at least to Joel Klatt of Fox Sports, could fall as low as 5th in the draft. He, of course, mocks the Titans to trade back to 3rd with the Giants pick and take Cam Ward. What do you guys think of that?
I think there's no way that Travis Hunter lasts until pick number 5 because
there's zero chance.
For one thing, if he gets to 4, Mike Vrabel's not letting him get away from him. Mike Vrabel Mike Vrabel may have his personality quirks, but he knows football talent, and Travis Hunter would entice him.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question that Travis Hunter is definitely going to be. I mean, especially when you've got Drake May, you can give him a guy like Travis Hunter. I think you have to take him there at 4. So there's no way he's going to go 5. I would be curious if, I would be curious to see if the Titans decided to trade back. I think if they decided to trade back, that they would probably not go quarterback. Because you can't, I guess it depends on who picks ahead of you and who goes ahead of your pick, but you can't hope if you're going to pick a quarterback. You can't hope they're still going to be there at 3, because if Cam and Shedeur go 1-2, well, then, of course, you get Travis Hunter and you got some picks out of it, and you still got the number 1 guy on most draft boards. So I think if you can trade to 3, if the Giants are willing to do it, you absolutely have to do it.
I agree with you, and I'm with you too, that the fact that if the Titans if they trade out and do not pick at number 1, they're not taking a quarterback. I think if they trade out of number 1, it's because somebody's coming to get a quarterback. And they would take the best player available on their board when they would pick at number 2, 3, or whatever. To me, from what I've been told, and kind of gathering information, I think the Titans really would like to have a veteran mentor type quarterback, somebody with some skins on the wall, if you will, if they could, to mentor a rookie and or Will Levis, because it sounds like they need somebody to stabilize the quarterback room and also to help with the developing of the quarterbacks that are there. So to me, even if you do draft Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders, I think there's still a veteran coming, and I don't think either one of those guys is your day 1 starter.
There are 2 interesting wrinkles, I think, in the aspect of the Titans trading back. The Myles Garrett requested trade out of Cleveland, which went live right after we went off air last time we hosted our podcast. That certainly puts Cleveland in the market for another generational edge type of rusher. Could they be the ones to swoop in and take Abdul Carter at 2nd if the Titans don't take it? And then the other side of this is that, we're putting a lot of faith in some historically bad football franchises to make some right picks here at 5, 6, and 7. You've got the Jaguars with a new GM that's yet to be named, the Raiders with a new front office, the Jets with a new front office, all picking back to back to back. Honestly, I think if one of those teams traded with the Titans, you can kind of expect one of them to slip up, make a mistake, and still get somebody who you thought might be available at 2, 3, or 4.
Yeah, one of the interesting things that somebody brought up to me was this. Would it be possible in the Titans' quest to collect draft picks and their 30 picks and 12 in the top 100 over the next 3 years, is it possible to trade back twice trade back to 2 or 3 with the Browns or Giants, and then trade back with the Raiders or Jets and go to 5 or 6 and pick up multiple picks in multiple drafts.
Have you ever seen anything like that? I'm not sure if I've ever seen a double trade back like that in one draft.
I mean, there's certainly some folks who would be trade partners, particularly ones who have those veteran quarterbacks that you could potentially grab. And again, I mean, there are some folks out there who would love to be in that top 7 or 8 picks. You know, if they can get them into the top 5, man, that's potentially making you a Super Bowl contender immediately if you're picking it 15, 16, 17.
All you need is one team to get so in love, so enamored with Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. The Jets need a quarterback. The Raiders need a quarterback. Of course, the Browns and the Giants need a quarterback. All of those teams, I mean, that's 4 right there that could possibly trade up in that scenario.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation because as bad as we think the Titans quarterback situation is, and I wrote this on Titan Insider this past week, as bad as we think the Titans quarterback situation is with only Will Levis and the disappointing season that he had under contract, the other teams behind them in this draft are in worse situations because the Browns have
worse,
only have Dorian Thompson-Robinson and an injured Deshaun Watson who's probably going to miss the season. The Giants have Tommy DeVito under their control. That's it. The Jets have Tyrod Taylor and
Adrian Martinez.
Yeah, and the Raiders have maybe the next best situation with Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew as both kind of stopgap guys. So as bad as it looks for the Titans with only Will Levis, the teams behind them are probably more desperate. And if you're the Titans trying to trade the pick, that's a good thing.
Great insight, Terry McCormick, the Titan Insider, as always. We're starting a little bit of Titans coverage across our print papers, across the mid-state. Got a Titan Insider section. Be sure to check that out. And, of course, always find our great Titan Insider content on MainStreetMediaTN.com. We'll be ramping up some more content toward the Combine. Terry McCormick will be there. Terry, give us some closing thoughts, something to look forward to as you head toward the Combine.
Well, you know, a lot of people you always go to the Combine and want to get to interview players and kind of get to feel them out. But it's also a good time to get some insight time with Brian Callahan and Mike Borgonzi as they are there to evaluate the players. Now, they're not going to give away the company secrets, obviously, but they can give you some insight, and you can kind of glean some of what they're thinking as far as how they want to go forward with this number 1 pick and in the draft overall.
Stay tuned for our drive to the draft, which will continue up until the draft. Terry McCormick, Chris Yow, Blaine Kellar signing off. The Tennessee Pro Football Podcast.